Hare Krishna. Today we bring you the third part of Srila Prabhupada's pastime in Bhubaneswar. In the previous two parts, we heard about some unheard and divine pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. In this chapter, we unveil another beautiful pastime that occurred in Bhubaneswar. In 1974, Srila Prabhupada sent Govinda Swami Maharaj to Bhubaneswar to build a center in the place he had received. This temple was to become the last 108th ISKCON temple established by Srila Prabhupada. Upon arriving in Bhubaneswar, Srimad Govinda Swami Maharaj stayed in various dharmasalas near Lingaraj temple. The rule of the dharmasalas was that no one could stay more than 3 to 4 days at a time. So after staying for 3 days at one, he would move to another and then return later. For some time he also stayed in a goods warehouse near Lingaraj temple. Every day he would honor Mahaprasad from the Ananta Vasudev temple once a day and fast at night. In this way he preached the holy name across Bhubaneswar city. Srila Prabhupada instructed him to translate his books into the Odia language. For some help regarding this, Maharaj once visited the Director of Public Relations Office of the Odisha government. There he met a former student of his from his days as a teacher, Mr. Mishra. Mr. Mishra had a colleague named Shrutidhar Das in the same office, whom he knew to be a spiritually inclined person in search of a guru. He told Shrutidhar, "A sadhu has come, who used to be my teacher when I was in school. He has now left his home to preach the glories of Lord Krishna. You should meet him once." When Shrutidhar met Govinda Swami Maharaj and heard his Harikatha, he was instantly attracted and asked what service he could offer. Gurudev replied, "My Guru Maharaj has sent me here to establish a center of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The land is about 15 kilometers from here, near Nayapalli village. I need to identify it and begin some construction work." Shrutidhar mentioned that his maternal uncle Vasudev Das lived in Nayapalli and could help. He brought Srila Gurudev there on his bicycle. Vasudev Das introduced them to the village head Digambar Patnaik, who later took initiation from Srila Prabhupada and became known as Digpati Das. He promised to help Srimad Govinda Swami Maharaj. With everyone's help, the land was identified and cleaned, and Gurudev built a mud hut to live in. From that time, Shrutidhar Das became very close to Gurudev. Coming from a respectable and educated family, he began to assist Gurudev in his preaching. Later, Gurudev initiated him with the name Sachinandan Das. Shrutidhar would take Gurudev on his bicycle throughout Bhubaneswar to different places. Gurudev would distribute small Harinam leaflets and collect a little bhiksha. Soon the time came for Srila Prabhupada's arrival in Bhubaneswar. Under Gurudev's guidance, Shrutidhar served Srila Prabhupada in various ways. His Grace Sachinandan Prabhu, whenever he sings the glories of Srila Prabhupada during his appearance and disappearance festivals, recalls this beautiful and intimate pastime which we were presenting today. In 1977, when Prabhupada came to Bhubaneswar, he stayed in the mud hut built by Srila Gurudev. At that time, Jitendra Singh, a renowned Indian journalist and associate editor of the Times of India, New Delhi, visited Odisha. He was 65 years old. The Odisha government declared him a state guest and assigned an officer and an official car for his security and travel. Sripad Sachinandan Prabhu explained, "My father, the president of Brahma Vidya Society in Odisha, was a friend of Jitendra Singh, so he knew me as well. Jitendra Singh requested me to arrange a meeting with Srila Prabhupada. I accompanied him to ISKCON Bhubaneswar. Srila Prabhupada was giving a talk to devotees. explaining how when he went to America, he saw people working like machines, working day and night only to waste their earnings on alcohol, meat, clubs, dancing and gambling. Srila Prabhupada was wondering how to preach Krishna consciousness to such people with animalistic consciousness. After about 10 minutes of listening, Jitendra Singh, who was seated beside me, looked up as if he wanted to ask a question. But before he could ask, Srila Prabhupada turned to his secretary and said, "Bring me the Chaitanya Charitamrita and find this verse from this chapter." I was wondering why Srila Prabhupada, who was just explaining his preaching in the West, suddenly wanted to read from such an esoteric scripture like Chaitanya Charitamrita. Just then, Srila Prabhupada called me over. He had done so several times before. He said, "Shrutidhar, bring the Bhagavad Gita and read this verse from this chapter." In my mind, I was thinking, why is Srila Prabhupada switching from Chaitanya Charitamrita to Bhagavad Gita? I felt like he could read my thoughts. Anyway, I found the verse and read it aloud. After I finished, Jitendra Singh signaled me that it was time to leave. We bowed to Srila Prabhupada and walked back to our car. As soon as we reached the car, Jitendra Singh suddenly turned to me and gave me a very tight embrace. So tight that I felt like I might break. He was overwhelmed and said, "Shrutidhar, today because of you, I have had the darshan of the living Chaitanya." I was stunned. What was happening? With a choked voice he continued, "When I was 25, after completing my PhD, I was doing my postdoctoral research in Germany. There a question arose in my mind. I spent the next 40 years searching for its answer through every spiritual leader I could meet. As a journalist, I traveled extensively with ministers and prime ministers across India and abroad. I asked this question to 3 great Muslim scholars in Makkah, to 5 senior popes in Vatican City, to many famous Indian saints including Srimad, Swami Chinmayananda, Satya Sai Baba, J. Krishnamurti, Mahesh Yogi. I met them all. They all gave answers, but none satisfied my heart. I had a strong desire to ask Srila Prabhupada this question. When I came here today, he was explaining how he preached Krishna consciousness in the West. I waited humbly to ask my question. Just as I was about to, he asked his disciple to read a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. That verse answered my question completely without me even asking. For 40 years I wandered with this question, and today without even asking I received the answer. Hairs in my body stands erect, thinking how Srila Prabhupada had brought an end to my 40 years of waiting. Then another question arose in my heart, but before I could say anything, Srila Prabhupada had you read a verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita that answered this second question as well. At that moment I realized, this is no ordinary person. This is a divine saint empowered with mystical vision. That is why I told you, I have seen the living Chaitanya today. Chaitanya Charitamrita explains, when Krishna, residing in the heart of every soul as the Supersoul, wants to show his mercy, he appears externally as the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada's pastime is a living illustration of this truth. The Supersoul knows our heart and answers through the Guru. Hearing such divine pastimes strengthens our faith and devotion. In the coming days, we will bring more transcendental pastimes of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev as shared by His Grace Sachinandan Prabhu. Hare Krishna.